She thought her brother died in the fire. But when a stranger knocked, everything she believed turned to ash, and what she uncovered would ignite a reckoning no one saw coming. The first time Olivia pressed a hot curling iron into Kelsey's back, she was 12. The scream that ripped from her throat startled the birds off the power line and brought the neighbors to the door. But not justice, not intervention. Her mother had told the cops she was just having a tantrum, that she wasn't allowed to go to a school dance. They left. The pain didn't. The scar ran beneath her shoulder blade like a lightning bolt etched in flesh, a permanent reminder not just of injury but of betrayal. Not just from Olivia, but from the entire house. Her home was not a sanctuary. It was a cage of cruelty hidden behind manicured lawns and smiling photos on the wall. She remembered the sizzle of the iron, the blistering heat, but what haunted her most was the silence afterward. Her mother hadn't rushed in screaming in panic. No concern, no confusion, just a bored voice from the living room commanding her to clean it up and stop screaming like a stray. Kelsey had known then something was wrong, deeply wrong, but it was only the beginning. Growing up in that house was like walking barefoot on glass. Olivia was the golden child, captain of the cheer team, piercing blue eyes that cut through people like daggers in winter, and always with a smug smile plastered beneath her glossy lips. She was a cruel Barbie, wielding mom's smirk and dad's fists, though she lacked their subtlety. Every time she hit Kelsey, it was brushed off. Every time she lied, Kelsey was called confused. When she shoplifted, Kelsey was blamed for not stopping her. When she threw a chair that chipped Kelsey's tooth at 14, the blame once again fell on the girl who dared to speak. The dentist asked what happened. Her mother smiled and said she fell. The bill was paid in cash. No report filed. Kelsey learned to shrink herself, to grow quiet, invisible. She avoided conflict by walking the tightrope of silence, flinching when doors closed too loudly. Her only real sanctuary was her journal, which she kept hidden in an old showbox beneath her bed, filled with scrawled thoughts and tear-stained pages. She started documenting everything at age 13. Photos of bruises, audio on an old recorder, videos when she dared. She didn't know what she was collecting at first. Evidence, maybe, or just proof to herself that she wasn't crazy. That what she lived wasn't normal. At 19, after Olivia smashed her head into the bathroom mirror over a bottle of shampoo, Kelsey left. Moved out with a plastic bin full of thrifted clothes and textbooks. Her mother had said the blood on the floor was a drama act, and her father only grunted that she'd better not have stained the rug. She never looked back, until she had to. Her apartment, a tiny one-bedroom infested with cockroaches and black mold, was finally being fumigated. She couldn't afford a hotel. She called every friend. No one had room, except home. She told herself it would be just 2 days, 2 nights, 48 hours. She could do this. She could wear armor made of yeses and thank yous. She would survive. She arrived with a backpack and a bruised smile. Her mother didn't say welcome. Olivia barely looked up from her phone. Her father grunted from the recliner. The house smelled like stale coffee and perfume and unspoken rage. Kelsey stayed in the guest room, her old room, redecorated in beige, stripped of her childhood. It was going fine until the second night. She was ironing her one good work shirt in the laundry room. Olivia burst in, 2 wine coolers deep and reeking of something stronger. She accused Kelsey of touching her iron, though it was their mother's. Her voice laced with venom. She edged closer until suddenly she grabbed the cord and slammed the hot iron into Kelsey's arm. The pain ripped through her, a blaze under the skin, and her scream was primal. As she collapsed to the floor, Olivia stood tall, proud, like a queen surveying her ashes. Their mother arrived moments later. Kelsey, expecting horror, got condemnation instead. Olivia had pointed at her and said she was attacked. Their mother didn't hesitate to believe her. Told Kelsey she deserved it. Told her she was trash. And that moment changed everything. Something inside Kelsey didn't break. It calcified, hardened. Her tears dried before they fell. She stood, scorched but composed, told them she would be gone in 5 minutes. But this time she wouldn't run. She would remember, and she would make sure they did too. She didn't go to the didn't call the cops. There was no use. Her Family had too many friends in powerful places. Instead, she went to Rachel's house, the only person who had seen the truth for years. Together, they built a case, digging through years of messages, pictures, audio clips, and bruises. Rachel's eyes widened as she saw the fresh burn. The two of them cried for a few minutes. The last time Kelsey allowed herself to weep, they compiled everything. A digital folder labeled Burn Back was created. A timeline, a dossier, a mission. Kelsey would no longer be the silent one. She would be the reckoning. Kelsey didn't sleep for days after creating the Burn Back folder. She lived off Rachel's couch, her arm wrapped in gauze, the pain a constant reminder of what Olivia had done and what her mother had allowed. But pain had become familiar. It sharpened her, focused her, reminded her of the mission. She drank black coffee, scribbled names and plans in a notebook, and mapped out every possible consequence. If she was going to strike, it had to be precise. Not just revenge, justice. One that wouldn't just hurt them temporarily but reshape the narrative they built around her. That required more than evidence. It required strategy. Rachel helped her dig deeper. Olivia's job at the elite PR firm was a goldmine of opportunity. The position wasn't earned. It was gifted, a product of coercion and blackmail. Years ago, their mother had blackmailed the wife of the firm's CEO over a petty school board feud. Kelsey had receipts, screenshots of old group chats, forwarded emails, even a voice note where her mother bragged about it during a drunken Christmas Eve party. That was her entry point. She created a pseudonym, Alina Rowe, owner of a fictional startup that claimed to be launching a national campaign about female leadership. She built a polished website, printed business cards, and registered a virtual mailbox to Rachel's address. She even set up a burner phone. When she submitted her fake project proposal, she specifically requested Olivia. She told the firm she admired Olivia's social media presence, her bold voice, her image of strength and poise. The meeting was set for Wednesday afternoon at a high-end coffee bar downtown. Kelsey arrived early, hair dyed, lips painted, glasses perched on her nose. She wore a navy blue pantsuit and carried a leather folder, every movement rehearsed. When Olivia walked in, perfectly composed in a designer dress and nude heels, she didn't recognize her sister at all. She extended a hand, her smile robotic. Alina Rowe. Kelsey introduced herself. Olivia sat down. Kelsey kept the conversation polite, even flattering. For the first 10 minutes, she talked about empowering women in business, about branding, and public image. Olivia lapped it up. Then, without warning, Kelsey handed her the folder. "What's this?" Olivia asked, flipping it open. Inside were printouts of every incriminating piece of evidence. Photos of bruises, screenshots of texts, a transcript of a voicemail where Olivia called Kelsey a useless, bruised peach, a printed copy of the group chat where their mother bragged about manipulating the CEO's wife. Olivia froze. Her smile vanished. Kelsey's voice dropped to a whisper. "I'm the girl you burned, and now I'm just returning the heat." Olivia lunged forward, grabbing for the folder. Kelsey leaned back, pressing a button on her phone. Across the cafe, Rachel's cousin Jenna, seated as a pretend customer, lifted her phone. She had recorded the whole exchange. The next morning, Olivia was escorted out of her office by security. The company issued a public statement citing a breach of conduct and ethical violations. A leak from an internal source ensured that Olivia's downfall wasn't quiet. Her LinkedIn exploded with comments. Instagram followers dropped. PR clients backed out. It was swift, and it was just the beginning. Kelsey set her sights on the queen, her mother. Her mother's kingdom was the annual spring gala. It was where she received awards, raised money, kissed babies, and posed for church newsletters. It was a carefully curated pageant of moral superiority. Kelsey bought a dress, printed an invitation, and entered with poise. No one recognized her. Not at first. She took a seat near the back, watched a crowd sip wine and applaud half-hearted speeches about family and community. Then came the tribute moment. The host called her mother to the stage. A woman of faith, a champion of values, a mother whose sacrifices define our town. Kelsey stepped forward, USB in hand. "I have something for tonight's tribute," she said to the host, handing it over with a smile. Curious, the host plugged it in. The screen behind the podium flickered to life. At first, soft piano music played, matching the usual tribute tone. But then the first photo appeared: Kelsey's arm, blistered and raw, a close-up of a purple bruise on her jaw, a video clip of Olivia calling her names, a voice recording of her mother laughing. She bruises like a peach. It's honestly so easy. The room fell silent. Wine glasses stopped mid-air. A collective breath was held. The slideshow rolled on, exposing every truth they had buried. Her mother's face went pale. Someone in the front row whispered. A woman in the second row began to cry. Kelsey leaned in toward the stage as her mother stood frozen. "That's what trash gets for existing, right?" she whispered. "Enjoy the applause now." Her mother ran from the room. By morning, the fallout began. Local newspapers picked it up. The gala's sponsors pulled out. The church elders issued a statement asking her mother to step down and reflect. Her friends stopped calling. Her social group scattered. Her public image collapsed like wet paper. Olivia tried to claw back. She released a statement online claiming mental instability and manipulation. She cried in a YouTube video, claimed jealousy, claimed trauma, but the comments turned against her. "You hurt your sister and now cry because she healed louder." Kelsey watched it all from Rachel's kitchen table. She didn't smile. She didn't gloat. She just nodded. There was still more to do. The wind over the lake had changed. It no longer whispered secrets but howled warnings. Alina stood by the cabin's window, watching the reflection of firelight flicker against the glass. She had come full circle to the very place where her father's betrayal was rooted, and where her brother's ashes had once been scattered. A knock at the door jolted her. She turned, heart racing. She wasn't expecting anyone. Not here. Not now. She stepped slowly to the door and opened it just a crack. A man stood there, grizzled, wet from rain, eyes carrying the weight of years. "You don't know me," he said, his voice hoarse. "But I knew your father. I knew what he did. I was there the night it all burned." Alina stepped aside. He entered with a shiver. His name was Raymond Burke, a former enforcer for the Davenports, her father's employers, and a man who had vanished into shadows when the warehouse burned down. The same warehouse where her brother had disappeared. Raymond placed a damp folder on the table. Inside were photos, old blueprints, and handwritten notes. He spoke slowly, unraveling a deeper conspiracy. Her father hadn't acted alone. He had been a pawn, a fall guy in a war between corporations and corrupt politicians. Alina's brother, Leo, had uncovered it accidentally, and the warehouse fire was staged to silence him, but Leo had survived that night. Alina froze. She couldn't believe it. Raymond reached into his coat and produced a USB drive. Proof. Video. Records. Surveillance. Your brother's voice. Years after the fire. Hidden. Trapped. Waiting. Alina's hands trembled as she plugged the USB into her laptop. Grainy footage filled the screen. A locked room, medical equipment, Leo's unmistakable voice saying her name. The file timestamp was from just 2 years ago. She barely slept. That night, rage and hope wove themselves into a fevered determination. By morning, she had a plan. Raymond agreed to help. He still had contacts in the criminal underworld, many of them now enemies of the Davenports. The next days were a blur. They hunted leads, tracked payments, pieced together shell corporations, and in doing so, they discovered a location, a private compound outside the city. Surveillance footage placed a man matching Leo's description there, kept in isolation under the name Patient X. Alina armed herself not just with weapons, but with truth. She recorded a message, set it to auto-upload to multiple servers if she failed. She contacted a journalist she trusted from her old life. And then, under the cover of night, she and Raymond went in. The compound was fortified. Armed guards, retinal scanners. Alina used her father's old ID and Raymond's hacking tools to bypass the outer defenses. Inside, she moved like a phantom, every hallway a breath of risk, every camera a gamble. Then she saw him. Through a reinforced glass window, Alina saw Leo, older, thinner, but alive. His eyes met hers, and she saw recognition ignite. She broke the lock. Sirens blared. Raymond held the corridor, gun in hand, while Alina wrapped her arms around her brother. They ran. The escape was chaos, gunfire, smoke grenades, shouting. Raymond was hit in the leg but kept moving. They made it to the car. Alina drove like a demon, heart pounding, brother beside her, Raymond groaning in the back seat. They didn't stop until sunrise. Leo spoke little at first. He had been drugged, manipulated, kept as leverage. His memories came in flashes. But Alina listened. She didn't rush him. He had been silenced too long. In the following weeks, Alina leaked everything: financial records, video evidence, audio tapes. The media exploded. The Davenports collapsed. Arrests were made. Names fell like dominoes. And for once, the fire that had destroyed her life now cleansed the rot. But justice did not heal everything. Raymond died from his injuries a month later. At his funeral, Alina placed a single white rose on his casket and whispered, "Thank you for the truth." She and Leo moved to a quiet town by the coast. She took a job restoring old manuscripts. He worked with trauma survivors. They spoke often but never about the fire. One evening, as the tide rolled in, Leo asked, "Do you ever wonder who you'd be if none of it happened?" Alina stared at the waves, then at her brother. "Sometimes. But then I remember who I became because of it. And I wouldn't trade that for anything." He nodded. Behind them, the sun dipped below the horizon, turning the sky to flame. The story of the fire that once consumed everything had come to its end. Not in revenge, not in blood, but in truth and love and the silent strength of survival.